This episode of Biters is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Biters. This is Dianne from Alaska.
And this is Marnell, completing the Real Housewives of Alaska.
And tonight we are joined by special guest Thomas O'Mara from...
Hello, from New York, New York.
Woo! And we invited you on to talk about the premiere because I think you've probably got some insight that the rest of us don't have.
As usual.
Oh, sure. Put me on the spot.
You at least had some experiences that the rest of us didn't have.
I do. I have experience. I don't have too much insight into it.
We can only speculate how great the cast is in person. You actually know.
Well, I did see the premiere a day early. I went to Paris Fest in New York City. Very, very small theaters, like 200 seats.
That's great.
And it was all diehard Walking Dead fans. And Gail Ann Hurd, who showed up and sat down with us.
So, are you on some sort of list that you get notified about this stuff? Or do, people call you? Or, do you get offered or invited? Or, how does that happen?
Well, for this one... Someone had mentioned it to me that it was happening, and anyone could go to this because you had to buy a ticket,
right?
And tickets weren't that expensive. But members of the Paley Center in New York City, which is like a broadcasting museum, got first dibs at the tickets.
Oh, see.
So when someone told me, what did I do? I went and I became a member, and then when the tickets went on sale, I bought 4 tickets right away, and we lined up at 8:30 in the morning, I think.
Oh my God. What time in the morning?
8:30.
Well, a friend of mine was in town for it, and I dropped her off at about 8:30, and then I had to go see Kirk at Kirk Manley at New York Comic Con. And so I went to New York Comic Con for 2 hours before it kind of opened up and got crazy. And then I went back and I met her at 11 because you couldn't get your tickets until 2. Because the showing started at 3. So by the time I got back, there was a little bit of a crowd and everybody was having fun. And we were first in line. So we got good seats right in the center, a few rows back.
Very cool.
Nice.
And they showed on a big screen. And then, the place went nuts during certain parts. But afterwards, there was a panel with Norman Reedus, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Melissa McBride, and Angela Kang. And people before entering got to write down questions, and Dalton Ross, I guess he works for Entertainment Weekly, hosted it. And he picked 2 or 3 questions from the audience to read. And they had a hour-long panel, which was pretty cool.
So did they cover stuff that wasn't covered on Talking?
No, it was actually a lot more joking around. Melissa McBride and Norman Reedus were imitating Andrew Lincoln before every scene. It was kind of a love fest because everybody was talking about Andrew Lincoln, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan was like, listen, we all love Andy. We know how great he is, but the rest of the cast is just as good. And he pointed to Norman. He said Norman has done the best acting he's ever seen him do. And then Norman turned and said, "Oh, well, Jeffrey also. Jeffrey's done kind of like what they said on Talking Dead."
Yeah.
Just not to forget the rest of the cast just because we're losing Andy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard though, because I mean he's such an iconic figure. Season 1, we started with Rick right from the beginning, and it's hard to lose that character that we've suffered with, we've laughed with we've
Well, yeah, the show's about him. Like
right.
The show was basically about the Grimes family,
right,
and Shane's baby. The Grimes family joke. and an adopted baby.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, so the premiere was there was a fun time in the city.
So did you watch it again?
I did get a high five. I got a high five from Norman Reedus afterwards.
And obviously he knew who he was high-fiving.
What was that?
I said obviously he knew who he was high-fiving. He recognized you.
Oh, I doubt it. I doubt Norman is not very good at remembering people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, he's like my friend Scott Spillman. He's an artist and he does all these great paintings. And he went to Norman at one point, and Norman signed the actual original painting. And then he bumped into him again at some point at another convention, and with a print or something. And Norman's like, "Oh, this is a great print." he had no idea that he signed the original.
That Scott had actually done it, and
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, he sees
thousands
of
and thousands
people a day.
Yeah, I was listening to Walker Stalker Con's podcast, and they were saying they're expecting like 65 to 70,000 people for Atlanta.
Yeah, and that's actually a small number.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
I think they usually get 75 to 80,000, maybe. Yeah, it's nuts. Atlanta's like culture shock.
This is why the ratings we'll talk about later are such BS to judge the show's fan base based on the ratings of its viewing.
And the other thing is the rating. Well, when we talk about the ratings, but the ratings, I don't even think Nielsen ratings, they just cover the U.S. I don't think they cover the rest of the world.
Correct. I think you're right about that.
Yep. That's very true.
So, but we can talk about ratings later.
I am always looking for new places to get numbers. So if the two of you have different places to get numbers, spill, man.
I got mine on an article on Facebook.
It probably is the same article I'm looking at. It's on Deadline Hollywood.
Yeah, that's probably the one.
Yeah, deadline.com. So in case you hadn't noticed, we are podcasting the season premiere episode of The Walking Dead.
Called
Season 9,
A New
episode
Beginning.
1, A New Beginning. Do we want to do...
Oh, I thought this was the Fear podcast.
Dude, you're late by a week.
I have to say, and I never, ever, ever thought I would say this in my life. Season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead was incredible.
Right?
I really enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
I loved every single episode was incredible.
I could not agree more. I think there was one episode, but I can't believe we were raving about Fear the Walking Dead 4 years in.
The only thing they did wrong was they didn't show Madison getting ripped to pieces.
Marnell shares your disappointment.
I do.
For two reasons. One, because I really hated that character and I wanted to see her get ripped to pieces. And two, now you have all these people that are saying she's not really dead.
Right?
She's going to come back.
Oh, she's so dead.
She's dead. The showrunners came on right afterwards and said she's dead.
She's totally dead. People get over it. She's dead.
But there's still people that think Carl and Beth are alive.
In your dreams.
So, there's people that believe it.
Do I wish Beth was alive? I still wish Beth was alive, but that's just me. I'm just lame.
I love Emily.
In real life, she is still alive and still making music.
Which, by the way, I listened to the album and loved it.
I'm seeing her in 2 days in New York City.
Yay! Oh, I'm really jealous.
I listened to a couple of songs on the album, and I'm into it too. It's not my usual cup of tea, but yeah. So you can tell her that the Biter Squad liked her new album.
Oh, I've loved all of them. You can tell her that I've loved all of them.
And that I'm a new fan.
Well, she's going to be she's doing a tour. Well, I don't know if she's going to hit Alaska.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
She's been going around for a while now.
Maybe Seattle.
She's finally hitting New York. So
yeah,
I
could
myself
see
a
Seattle.
VIP.
We may have to make a pilgrimage to Seattle.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I'll tell her to look out for you.
Tell her that she needs to go to Seattle if she's not planning on it.
All right, I'll see what I can do. I don't have much pull in that aspect, but
I don't know.
We'll
I think somebody's listening to this show because there's been stuff that we've been like, this should happen, and it happens like a year later.
Fear. Like
right?
resetting fear by killing every character that the show started with.
So if the Walking Dead Our World people are listening, could you please let us buy first aid kits like we can grenades? Because I can't get a first aid kit to save my life. Literally.
Wah, wah.
That was my unpaid plug for the Walking Dead Our World. I'm just so obsessed with this game.
Well, if they're listening, maybe they'll send you free stuff now.
Do you play?
I have it, and I have played those type of games. I don't know. They just kind of start to annoy me.
It's the only
like,
one
you have to buy this, you have to buy that.
I'm totally in that place. In fact, I told Brian tonight, I was like, I cannot spend any more money on this game. So if you have to kick me out because I'm a non-productive member of the collective, I get it, but I cannot spend any more money on this game.
It's like that whole Pokemon Go thing. I never got into that either.
Yeah, I'm not a Pokemon person, so I never got into that, but
I mean, it's cool when you do the augmented reality and they pop up in like the room you're in and stuff, but
did you see? You probably didn't because you haven't been in the app. So this weekend they're doing some sort of special thing with Carol, and there's a special VR thing where you can propose to her in VR.
Oh, no way, really?
God.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to find it. Oh,
and she tells you to put that thing away.
And we hope she's referring to the ring.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so there's a contest going on, and it's like the best one, I think it records or something, and the best one wins like a whole bunch of stuff from inside the game.
Oh.
So.
See, I don't use the augmented reality because I just don't like it. I just use the game.
Yeah, me either. Yeah. So
back to
booth
the numbers.
competition.
Back to the numbers.
Hold on. Can't get enough of AMC's The Walking Dead. Bring it to life with The Walking Dead Our World AR mode. This week is Carol's week, and the photo booth competition is no exception. Snap a picture of Carol rejecting and share it to the Walking Dead Our World Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram with the hashtag TWDCarolAR. And the lucky winner will win a full year subscription to AMC's Walking Dead supply drop and 5,000 in gold in the game. And the Walking Dead Our World spend whatever you like. In addition, 9 runner-up will receive 2,500 in gold in the Walking Dead Our World.
Yeah, the supply drop's a pretty good deal.
I would love to get the supply drop. I just don't have the extra money right now.
I got the last one.
Did you? Was it cool?
And then the next one is supposed to be on its way now. Yeah, the last one had the exclusive Shiva pop figure.
Oh, awesome.
So I brought that with me actually to Orlando and had Kari Payton drew Shiva's little paw print on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so. And it has some really, really cool stuff. And it had a had a shirt with King Ezekiel sitting in the chair, and it just said, "And yet I smile" on it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, which is perfect because my tattoo. That's what my tattoo says, "And yet I smile."
Does he love your tattoo? He's seen it, I'm assuming.
He took a picture of it in Orlando and he Instagrammed it out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, him and Jenna Instagrammed me.
I could not imagine having like my character if I was in an iconic role on someone's skin. That would just be, I would be so flabbergasted.
Well, my friend Gwen has her entire leg, has like almost every character you could think of, all the way down to her ankle, all the way up to as high as you can go.
That is some serious artwork, man.
And all around the leg too. It's not like just on like the front or the side. It's like all around. It's pretty amazing.
That does sound amazing. All right. So what's not amazing are the early numbers.
Before you give us the early numbers, I want ratings.
That was a good segue.
It was.
No, we'll do because it'll just take a minute for the numbers.
All right. All right. Fine.
So the season 9 premiere episode, same day viewing, only drew 3.2 million viewers.
That's baloney.
It's such a skewed number. You can't. Nielsen shouldn't even be doing ratings anymore.
Fake news.
Well, yeah, and so exactly. the article on Deadline does point out that people don't view television the way that they used to anymore. We don't view stuff the same day. We DVR it and we watch it later. So same days.
And stream it.
Right, and stream it because AMC now has this $5 a month app that you can stream their shows from. Which crashed Sunday night. I think they underestimated how many people would be watching that way because we don't watch TV anymore.
I was going to say, we all agreed it was a good thing, actually, that it crashed, unfortunately, for the people who were using it, but it means that they underestimated how much use it was going to get.
Right. And they posted it on their regular site for free right after the episode aired. I'm sure nationally.
And not just that, but you had 25,000 people. There was a panel on Saturday night for Comic-Con with the cast at Madison Square Garden, and they showed all of them the episode.
So the article does point out that this is a 51% free fall from the season 1 debut, but it's been 9 years. We don't watch TV the way we used to.
And I also
they didn't even have DVR when it started.
I completely disagree with those numbers.
So I had early numbers, but we believe that they are bunk because
they don't fit my narrative. They don't fit my personal narrative.
It's probably going to triple when you add in the +3, the +7, the streaming. You'll get 8 or 9 million people, which is still an incredible number for a cable TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it would be in the double digits.
And not to mention, I don't watch the show, but I think Sunday night was the first episode of Doctor Who where they introduced the new Doctor.
Yes. And plus it was up against Sunday Night Football. So people are going to watch football live and DVR Walking Dead and probably watch it Monday night because you all have to work, on Monday morning. So
all I know is I saw it Saturday and then I watched it again when it aired.
I watched it as soon as I got home on Sunday and watched it again yesterday.
Thomas saw it with a crowd, and while that is always fun because it's so engaging whenever it's the emotion of everyone cheering or gasping or whatever, it makes it a little hard to hear. And,
there were some parts where I couldn't hear. So
yeah, you're like, shut up. That seemed important.
No, and it was quiet. You could hear a pin drop in the theater, but for some reason, certain parts were just, the audio was a little low.
Remind me, we'll talk about Hard to Hear. I've got some commentary from a fan about that.
Oh.
So, should we go into ratings since we think that the numbers are bunk?
Well, if we don't go into ratings, Dianne is going to have a fit.
Well, I've got a few numbers from Fear, so do you want me to go over numbers, or do we want to go into our personal ratings?
Dealer's choice.
I'm the guest, so whatever you think.
Well, in follow-up, I'll just really quickly give the numbers for the Fear finale, which it was on September 30th, and the mid-season finale, according to TV by the Numbers, had the largest audience since the mid-season finale in June. It had 2.13 million on same-day view, and it was second overall on that Sunday. It was, I forget what it was second to.
Probably football or the news.
So definitely for the week, it was beat out by football because there was a preseason game on. It was 16th in the 18 to 49 group and did not make the top 25 overall because it was all news and football. Like the top 25 cable shows were news shows and preseason football.
All I know is I was scared to death that episode because I thought for sure either Jenna Elfman or Garrett Dillahunt were going to die.
You had me convinced that Jenna Elfman's character was going to die.
And then I thought Danae Garcia was going to die.
Right.
Yeah.
But none of them did. And I have a feeling, I'm going to ask Jenna in a couple of weeks, but I think she did it on purpose.
Like the social media stuff that she sent out?
Well, she slipped up on Talking Dead. And I totally thought that she was going to die when she said what she said. Something about how ending the last shot that they shot for the season was her taking Garrett's hand. And she said it's the perfect way to end an amazing experience.
Right.
Oh.
And when I heard that, I'm thinking, end the experience. That's
you
not
and I
good.
talked about that, and I thought the same thing. I caught that too, and I was like, okay, I didn't hear what I just heard.
I sent her a message, like a direct message, like private, not where anyone could see it, saying something about that. And she never replied to me. And she replies to me all the time. So I thought for sure she was gone.
Jenna Elfman, the art of masterful misdirection.
Well, then the day before the episode, Danae Garcia, I mean, this isn't a Fear podcast, but Danae Garcia posted on Instagram about how everything was past tense, about how it was great working with you and all this stuff past tense.
Yes, it totally was misleading. I saw the same one. And again, it was like, oh, I did not just see that. I don't want to see that.
Well, and Alicia Debnam Carey has a ton of movies and stuff coming out that she's in. So I've kind of been thinking that we're going to lose another of our core cast members. So
I don't think you'll lose Alicia though. She's one of the leads. I think she'll be one of the last to go.
I hope so. She's my girl.
Well, we know none of them are going to. We know none of them are going to Alexandria. So
right.
Yet.
Yes.
I think eventually some of them will, but
they're going to have to take a whole big time jump to match the time jump, right?
Yep.
Well, there's going to be another time jump in The Walking Dead this season.
Yep.
And we're already looking at about 18 months, they said.
Yep.
All right, so ratings. We are so far off track.
I know. So into the weeds.
All I can say is that we don't have anything special about the writer and director because we've talked about them so many times already. So we have time.
Who were the writer and director? I didn't see.
Oh, so the writer was Angela Kang.
Heard of her.
The new showrunner. Right. Yeah, just kind of heard of her. And then the director was this guy named Greg Nicotero. Not sure who that
heard
is.
Of him. Heard of him.
So we have time.
What else has he worked on?
That's a good question.
No, there's way too much to do.
So I'm gonna go with my rating first, and I'm gonna give away a little bit with my rating. I rated it 4.87 out of 5 dangling Gregories.
Ooh.
And I rated it really high because I could not come up with a bad.
Oh, I've got a bad, but
I got a bad.
Like, the
my
more I
rating-
watched it, I was like, I can't come up with a bad. I have to rate it really high.
I knew my bad Saturday afternoon when I was watching it.
Did
I
ya?
knew what my bad was. Yeah,
See, so we'll have
But-
plenty of time for the two of you to discuss your bads.
but I still, I mean, it was a nitpicky bad, but I rated it 4.7. Well, I had two. I was debating between the two, but I went 4.75 famous Rick Grimeses, or the other one was 4.75 spider-infested skulls.
I almost went with spider-infested walkers, because that was a great walker.
And we're already
spiders.
into my
Yeah,
ugly.
me too. You have to give us your rating before we can go into your ugly.
Well,
and we have to hear your goods and bad first.
we were all within the same range. I rated it a solid 4.8. Poorly executed marriage proposals.
Oh.
Wow, I was the lowest to rate this.
Yeah.
I thought for sure I'd be highest.
You've had an extra day to overthink it.
Well, yeah. And I've seen it 3 times already, so.
Oh, that's funny.
I almost watched it again. I almost tied you, but
Well, I had
Well-
the extra day.
I panicked to die because I was like, I'll be ready at 7:05 tonight because we were going to podcast on the hour. And it's like, I'll be ready at 7:05. And she's like, we were supposed to podcast with Thomas at 5 our time. And I was like, oh, I meant 5:05. So
It's like,
I gave Diane a heart attack.
7:05 would be 11. I don't know. I still could have done it. It's only 11:05 here.
we try to be kinder to our East Coast brethren.
Yeah.
I'm always up late.
So,
So who's got a good?
just really quick, I just wanted to ask you guys if you have any. Yeah, and we have something big to get to before we get to our goods, bads, and uglies.
Exactly.
I just wanted to ask either of you if you had anything about the title. So obviously, the new beginning is kind of just about the reset of the show.
Right, that's what I was thinking. But it's also
go ahead.
it's also a new beginning with Maggie taking charge as
And
opposed
having
to
a
Rick.
baby Herschel.
Baby, and a grown up Judith who can speak.
And where is Gracie? I want to know
that-
where baby Gracie is.
Well, Gracie's with Aaron. I
Is
think.
she with Aaron? I hope she's with Aaron.
I'm assuming because he wanted to take her.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with like children's ages and stuff, but she looks like the same age as she was last season when we were like, oh my goodness, she aged like 3 years in a month.
She's a little older, but she doesn't look tons older.
Well,
Okay.
it's only 18 months.
Right, it's only
not
18
like it's been
months,
that
so-
long. But she's
I don't
speaking
know.
at least.
Yeah. I feel like they slowed it down a little. They regressed her age.
Well, you can't
know.
really control the age at which the children age in real time. You have to do the best you can.
For God's sakes, Chandler looked about 30.
By the end of the show, oh my God, from the beginning to the end of his run, what a change.
Well, look how much Rick is aged.
But
We
I
got
think
old
some of that's
Rick.
makeup aging.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
I think some of it is.
Do you think Andy Lincoln's real beard is really white?
I don't think he's really that gray.
Okay.
I bet you he is.
Do ya?
Yeah, I mean, good God, I'm growing a goatee right now, and it scares me when I look in the mirror because it's all gray.
Is it like the presidency? Does being Rick Grimes age you?
Working in the Sonoy heat for 9 years, that might.
Oy.
Do you
So,
want to get into the featured?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we decided to honor Scott Wilson as a part of our featured cast segment this week because we found out the night of the premiere that he had passed away. And you
found out the night of the premiere.
maybe I didn't find out the night of the premiere. Maybe I found out when you and I talked. So I must have found out.
Oh,
I found out when you posted.
I got a text message when someone I know that was close confirmed it.
So you found out on the 6th, right?
I found out Saturday night.
Okay.
It was probably about 8:00, maybe a little later than 8.
I'm not sure if I found out Saturday or Sunday then, because I may have seen your post on Sunday, but I found out Saturday or Sunday and just was so bummed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was scheduled to be in Orlando when I was there, and he canceled. And then he was scheduled to be in Atlanta in 3 weeks, and he canceled that like a week and a half ago.
I did not realize that he had leukemia, so...
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I don't think a lot of people knew that. But I had heard a friend of mine was at a convention talking to someone that was acting with him in another show. And that actor, I guess, slipped up to my friend and said, yeah, Scott had to cancel because his health isn't doing too well.
Oh.
So when I saw him cancel the last 2 conventions, I kind of had a feeling something was up. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but
yeah.
But he's the nicest man in the world.
I was going to say, tell us a little bit about Scott, because you've met him.
I mean, every time you see him, he wants a hug from everybody.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, to have that when you're in a field where you really need to have great boundaries with people or else you can get sucked in.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, it may have been the last time I saw him. I think it may have been last year in Atlanta. After the con was over on Sunday, I grabbed my luggage because I had to go to the airport, and I had just gotten off the escalator, and Scott was walking by, and he saw me, and I guess he saw the luggage, and I had talked to him like I think at his table or something, but he stopped. And he's like, give me a hug. So I gave him a hug, and he's like, have a safe trip. He was like, have a safe trip home.
Oh.
Like, just like stopped on his own. Like, I mean, he used to come out in Atlanta so many times. Like, everybody would be hanging at the bar, and he would come outside with a cigar in one hand, and he'd have a drink. I don't know if it was like scotch or bourbon, and he would just sit down with all the fans that are outside just hanging out, and he would just sit there like an average guy. And this is a guy that's been in acting for 50 years.
Yeah, 1967.
He's been in so many things. I mean, you guys probably looked it up, but he's been in so many things, and he's just chilling at the bar. He's either chilling at the bar inside or he was going outside for a cigar. Just the kindest guy.
76 years on this earth is not long enough for people like that.
I mean, you would never. He's just. I've never heard one bad word said about him.
That was the thing that was really amazing about the social media tributes too, is, you know, I understand that people are going to post their best memories, but there was nothing even remotely off. I mean, everything was, he's going to be missed. Rest in peace. Rest in paradise. See you next turn, you know?
There's one thing, well, I mean, it'll be past when this airs, I guess, but just so you guys know, tomorrow night, because it's Wednesday.
Right. I saw that.
There's a Spaghetti Tuesday on Wednesday where you're supposed to have spaghetti for dinner tomorrow, take a picture, and then hashtag spaghetti for Scott.
Oh.
Wherever you post it.
All right, we're going to have to do that because I've got spaghetti that needs to be made. So there we go.
And we haven't had spaghetti in a while, and it goes great with red wine. So definitely.
Well, here's the thing, too. When this all happened, I started thinking, and they had the marathons going and everything. What's your favorite?
Oh, did we lose Thomas?
Thomas, are you still here? Hang on and let me work on getting him back with us, if that's... No, I think he's still with us.
You want to text him and say, "Can't hear you.
Yeah.
You muted your mic."
Thomas, are you still with us? All right, everybody. Biters is having some technical difficulties, which probably realistically will not be edited out. So, Marnell, I think he was probably going to say, what's your favorite Scott Wilson memory in terms of lines?
I don't have a favorite memory in terms of lines. I just couldn't help but think today of how far the character came. It was unfortunately,
Are you guys there?
Oh, yay! You're back!
I'm back. I completely missed it. Did you actually hear what I said, though?
So
No.
I think you were going to ask us what kind of our favorite lines from Scott Wilson were.
Yeah, what was your favorite Herschel moment from the show?
So you go first, Marnell, because you were starting.
So I don't have actually a favorite moment, but today I was just thinking about how much his character had a change of heart. He went from not wanting to be part of the group and then just wanted to leave and move on when Carl got better, because unfortunately Otis shot him. And I think had Otis not shot him and they came to his door looking for help, he would have turned him away. I think he was very closed off and very not wanting to be part of the world as it was now, or even probably before. And by the end, he was just such a loving and kind and giving man. And, it's just his character development was just spot on for me. What was yours, Di?
Mine was definitely the episode in the prison where he's going around treating everybody, where he's taking care of everybody. But the line I would have to say, or the lines, were when he gives you step outside, you risk your life. You take a drink of water, you risk your life. That's probably my favorite of Herschel's lines from the series. What about you, Thomas?
Yeah, that's a popular one. I had two that stuck out, and one of them was kind of like Marnell's. It's the scene where Maggie and Herschel are going at it. Maggie tells Herschel that a walker attacked her, and Glenn saved her life.
Remember that.
And that's what basically turned Herschel towards letting them stay and joining the group. And the other scene that always got to me was when he gave Glenn the pocket watch.
Oh.
Basically gave his blessing for Glenn to join the family.
Yeah.
That pocket watch.
Those were the two. I love the whole you risk your life thing, that all the memes and everything that you see from that. But I was trying to think of a couple that were not seen or not known as well.
Well, tomorrow is definitely going to have to be Spaghetti Tuesday at the house.
Yeah.
And the other line that I loved was when he said something about the Bible said that return of the dead. Or,
yes.
Jesus was talking about the resurrection.
I just pulled that up. Christ promised resurrection of the dead. I just thought he had something a little different in mind.
Right. I loved.
Yeah.
But,
I didn't know we were doing quotes. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
Yes, you were.
See what it's like to be put on the spot. Thomas, we're going to talk about Emma Bell. Go. That's what I get.
Hey, you said you were better on the fly.
Oh yeah, I am, but I need a little heads up. So who's going with their grid?
Well, mine is small, so I'll go first. I loved Ezekiel's proposal to Carol. I know that's such a girly thing, but it was so sweet and so funny, and I just loved her response. Why would she want to get married again?
Her response was the best.
Put that thing away.
It's gonna snag on everything.
The audience died laughing when she said that.
I have to say, I'm so embarrassed, but both times that I watched it, I like squealed when like a little girl when he proposed to her.
And then right after he puts the ring away, he says, "I'll keep this till you're ready." And the camera focuses on her face, and she kind of squints.
Like, she gives him the side eye. She totally gives him side eye. Yeah.
Exactly.
And didn't she say something to the effect of, like, you did it wrong anyway?
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen on a horse or something.
Yeah, that's what it was.
She's apparently not a horse lover like Di is.
Right. Oh my God. That's one of the things that was so great about this episode. Maybe
so Marnell.
not. I do want to say one more thing really quick about my good.
Go right ahead.
I just wanted to say the other thing that I loved about it was that she was also able to have a totally affectionate and intimate moment with Daryl, like right after the proposal and talking about the proposal. And it really kind of neatly tied up both of those stories, because there are still so many people out there who are shipping Daryl and Carol even at this late date that I thought they handled it really well.
Pookie gave his blessing.
Yes. So I was really happy about that, as well as just about the proposal itself. Okay, I'm done. That's my good.
All right, Marnell, what's your good?
So my good is that we are finally getting to the post-apocalyptic universe that we should be in. I love that we're having to use the walkie-talkie relay system where you have like a dispatch, because the walkie-talkies, like we've talked about in Fear the Walking Dead, don't have a huge range. And so they have a relay system. And that they're painting over road signs with their own stuff, the Route A, Route B, Route C. And there is no more gas. I'm so happy we are done with cars.
Except for Daryl's motorcycle.
Right, that runs on ethanol now.
I was going to say they're using the corn ethanol, right? We have to all hold on to that.
Yep.
Well, the one thing about the painting the signs, the only thing I didn't understand about that, why did Rosita need to put on that sign, "Bridge out"?
I think if somebody
you could see the bridge was out. Half the bridge was in the water.
Because they had to show us that really skookum jacket she was wearing.
well, she did look good. I'm not gonna lie. I'll never complain about seeing Christian, but I don't think they really needed to write "Bridge out."
I think maybe if you're like hauling, I'm hauling balls and in a car, you have a little bit of time to stop.
But there's no more cars.
If you have binoculars and you're looking.
Okay,
maybe.
If you're galloping on a horse in the dead of night.
There you go.
There you go.
Except that it's not reflective paint, so.
Yeah, hopefully you've got a headlamp.
Yeah, right?
That's funny. But yeah, so we are finally at the point where, it's 100 years ago, 200 years ago, like we are having to find carriages for the horses to pull, and we're having to start planting our own crops, and
where it should have been about a year ago in the show.
Mm-hmm. At least a year ago. Yeah. I mean, like we've said before, you leave gas in a gas-powered engine for more than a year without treating it first, and it's not going to fire up, and spark plugs go bad, and batteries drain, and, all of these cars have magically had full tanks of gas and fresh batteries and keys in them, and so I'm so glad we are getting done with that and getting to the real post-apocalyptic zombie disaster that we should have had.
My other good is that that's no longer our bad.
Yeah.
So Thomas, what's yours?
My good was Daryl speaks.
Right?
Yeah.
And actually has like a really meaningful, awesome little conversation with Cindy.
Yeah, he had a great conversation with Cindy. I keep trying to call her Sydney.
I know, I did too in my brain, and then I was like, no, that's her real name.
But yeah, there's one thing right after the premiere ended, I sent her a text message and I'm like, Sydney, I just saw the premiere. It was amazing. And
Yay.
she just sent me back like hearts and thumbs up and all that.
I was just so glad to see her again. It was really nice to see Oceanside represented.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Daryl, he had the heart to heart with Cindy, and then he had the heart to heart with Rick, and then with Carol. Like, this is more speaking than he probably did all of last season.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree, because I think we've joked before that I think they're paying him by the line.
Well, I think they have to do this to gear up for when Rick leaves.
Right, because they have to.
He's going to have to talk.
Yep. He's going to have to be a leader.
That was my good. It was pretty simple, but it was something we haven't seen in a few seasons.
And we've commented on before that there's been a notable lack of lines with everyone's favorite.
Well, I think also because Angela took over and Angela wrote this episode, she wrote the episode still with Beth and Daryl.
Oh, and she did.
And that was one of my favorite episodes that season, where you actually fleshed out and you learned about them and they spoke and it was like emotional. And
that's a good catch. I didn't remember that she had written still, and that was a great episode.
I would have never remembered that.
That was actually the question I wrote down on my little card at the premiere. I said, in the episode still that Angela wrote, Beth was kind of prophetic when she said, "You're going to miss me when I'm gone," and then she said, "Daryl Dixon, you're going to be the last man standing."
Oh man, so you're right.
I put that down, and the guy from Entertainment, Dalton, actually read it. It was the first question he picked when he read the questions that.
What did Angela say? Submitted.
Honestly, I was so in shock and kind of embarrassed because as soon as they said Tom from Yonkers, all my friends, like I know so many people that were in the theater, everybody started pointing to me, and I was kind of huddling down, trying to not garner any attention. But
was any of it filmed?
The whole thing was filmed. I have to find out where you're going to be able to see. I know I could go to the Paley Center itself because I'm a member, and I could watch it. I think they end up selling DVDs of it or something afterwards.
Oh yeah, it could probably be on some side stuff on the DVD.
You'll find it on YouTube
eventually,
probably at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why I think this season you're going to see a lot more emotion. Like you've even in this first episode, you saw the way all the characters were talking. I think Angela is really good at real life conversation.
Yay! Because I agree, it's been a long, dry season for Mr. Dixon.
Yeah,
and we did see some really good stuff, especially in season 4, where we really got some flesh out of Daryl's character, and it's been really kind of hard to see him regress.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done nothing but grunt or
fight with Rick.
Or say Rick. And that's about it.
Yeah.
So that was my good. Finally, we hear Daryl speak again.
Thank God.
All right, Di, what was your bad?
I told you I didn't have a bad, so I'm going to have to defer to one of you. I really seriously did not have one, which is why I had to rate the episode so high. I mean, the pilot's my 5, right? The pilot's always going to be a 5 out of 5 for me. So this wasn't quite the pilot, but it was really good.
No, my bad. I knew like almost immediately when it happened. And it happened last season also. The scene from last season when Maggie was in the car and Gregory comes to is it Gregory? Not Gregory, Simon. Simon comes to the window and shoots the guy that's in the back seat.
Oh,
We
right.
had no idea who the guy was.
Right.
So in this episode, they have the one little conversation with this Ken kid in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
And then they kill him.
Yep.
It's like they put a character in there that nobody cares about, nobody knows, and then they just put him there just to kill him.
Yeah.
That I don't really care for that. I mean, I know they had to do it to get to the later storyline.
Plot device to further the story.
But I mean,
Poor
you got to
Ken,
come
a
up
plot device.
Yeah, you got to come up with something better. You can't just keep throwing red shirts in there just to.
Ken got a name.
Well, the other guy, the guy in the back seat of the car, had a name too. I couldn't remember it.
Neither could I. Well, remember Ken because his death led to so much more.
Well, not just that, but they all kept saying Ken.
Right.
Stay away, Ken.
Right. So people online were the reaction online to that was, "Oh my God, we got way more emotion out of Ken dying than we did Carl." So a lot of people were kind of annoyed with that.
Huh, that's interesting. I didn't think about it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, you got way more emotion from Shiva dying than you got from Carl. So
this is true.
Shiva dying was more tragic than Carl.
Shiva dying sucked.
The problem with the fact that when Carl died, everyone had 3 months to process it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the upcoming death.
Yeah, he was bit.
Yeah,
he was bit, and you saw the bite, but then you had 3 months till the next episode where he actually died.
Yeah.
So people processed it more.
Yeah.
I think that's legit.
But the whole putting a character in there, giving them one line of dialogue, just so we could kill him off later in the episode, that irks me. But it's such a minor bad because, I mean, the episode, everything else about the episode was great.
And I do have to say, in fairness, although I totally get what you're saying, they did a good job of reworking the storyline with this kid and with the angry parents. Because
and that's the other thing when I was rewatching today. I'm wondering, was this kid dating Enid?
I don't think so.
When Maggie was telling the mom, or what's her name, Tammy,
yeah,
and Tammy got up and turned to her husband and said, "I'm not going to hit that little girl. I don't like her." But
I think she was referring to Maggie.
Maggie, she was demeaning Maggie.
Oh, she was talking. Oh, because I wasn't sure she was talking about Enid.
No.
Because Enid was there.
And in the next sentence, she said something about this woman. And so she referred to her as a little girl and then something about woman. So, when it's a way to demean women is to refer to them as little girls.
Oh my God, you're woman-splaining.
I am. Well, and it used to irk me because I looked very young and I was in a professional job and I did what I could to make myself look older, but I'm 5 foot. Let's be honest. I, look like a teenager most of the time. And so I would have older men in banking, in the industry, like refer to me as a little girl. And I'm like, no, I'm old enough to vote. I'm old enough to drink. Like, I'm not a little girl. Don't call me that. So,
because I wasn't sure. Because I mean, you didn't know anything about the kid, and Enid was right there when it happened. So I figured maybe he went because Enid went.
But Tom, have you read the comic books?
Nope.
So there's comic book spoiler 3, 2, 1. But this book has been out for a couple of years now, so if you're not going to read the comic books, here you go. But there's a storyline where parents get riled up, I want to say against Rick, but in the same way that these parents got riled up against Maggie. And they did a nice job of kind of reworking that particular storyline for this purpose. Because you could really see the similarities between that and what happened in the comic book.
Remind Di to also talk about her bold prediction about reworking the storyline as far as spreading out stuff that happens to Rick. You know what I'm referring to, right?
Yeah,
Di?
I do have a bold
Yeah.
prediction about that.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, and the Enid thing, it's quite possible because here I am thinking, no, she was just with Carl, but we're 18 months later. She definitely could have been with Ken.
Well, she is a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
So what was your bad?
Yeah, well, my bad is kind of directly related to your bad. My bad is a two-parter, and it's not completely bad. I say it's bad not because I disliked it, but I just every time Gregory comes on the screen, I get so enraged. Like Xander Berkeley is the most amazing actor in this role. Like he just oozes. Like
See, your bad is now getting into my ugly.
Oh, good. Well, okay, so like I said, we all hate Gregory. He was the bad guy we all hated. But we kind of liked hating him. Xander Berkeley seems like a really great guy in real life. And I loved the whole plot line of he riled up these parents, and like he knew that the guy was sober and offered him a drink, and like he just played these poor people's emotions and then had somebody else do his dirty work. And Maggie called him out on it and was like, you're too chicken bleep to do it yourself. And I love that he still called her Margaret.
Yeah.
It's just
After all this time.
And I'm gushing about this, and it was my bad because I have real like emotions, like rage-filled emotions, and that's not normal for me whenever he's on screen. And so then they go and kill him. So I'm so disappointed that he's not on the show anymore. I'm going to miss Gregory, and I'm going to miss Xander Berkeley.
You're going to miss actually feeling some feelings.
I am. I'm just going to have to go back and rewatch this episode a couple more times. But I
can't remember the last time you actually felt something.
Right?
And like this raw and plentiful. But also hanging him was my bad because, Michonne said, did we make the right decision? Should we have killed Negan? Everything Negan did, and he didn't get the death penalty. And Earl.
Yeah, but that wasn't Maggie. This is Maggie's choice.
Right, and I think that obviously Maggie would have made the choice to kill Negan if.
Right. But then she didn't. Earl attempted to kill her also and injured Enid and put baby Herschel's life in danger and all this. But I think Earl got off with a slap on the wrist.
Well, I think she realizes that he was drunk and
riled up by Gregory.
Yeah, that was Gregory's doing.
Oh, mitigating circumstances, whatever.
Just kill them all.
Well, I think that he should have at least got some form of punishment. We may see it in the future, but he wasn't even like tied up or anything. He just got to go home.
Well, and the funny thing with that scene too, and I was watching on the big screen, they want you to think that she's talking about him.
Yes.
At first. Because if you look, he's got his hands in front of him. And
he kind of looks like he's
tied.
Yes.
Yep.
And then finally she's like, do you have any last words? And the camera pans over to Gregory.
Yeah. Yeah. And, just even up into his death, he was Gregory. And, he's begging for his life and all that. And it's like, you were about to stab a woman in cold blood. And you're now begging for your life because you have to, pay for your crime. Like, I love to hate him, and I'm going to miss him. So it's that.
The other thing that was really good about Gregory and Xander, even though we're still in your bad, Marnell, is that he played Gregory with such a hard edge. He kind of lost that goofiness that he's had in previous episodes and played him with a really hard edge and really slimy.
Yeah. I mean, this was you know, he was on the brink. He had lost all power, and he was just up until this point, the election that he called for, you know, up until this point, he still thought he could worm his way back in. And at this point, he was desperate. And I think that's where that came in, that hard edge.
Well, he only lost the election, though, because there was foreign intervention.
Because Jesus counted the votes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was not Russia. It was Jesus.
Gregory got 3 million more votes than the popular vote.
The damn electoral college.
Right?
Let's just go back to the kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah. I vote King Ezekiel for president.
King Ezekiel for king.
I like Hilltop.
And none of us want to be a savior.
Well, Hilltop has a wall.
And all the food.
Yeah,
That's
and all
true.
the food. And a blacksmith, and yeah.
And soon to be all the gas from the saviors.
Right.
Yeah. And heck, they should just take whatever solar panels and stuff that Alexandria has left and
Call
move
it
on
good.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's home. So, Di, what was your ugly?
So my ugly was really just the grand scope of the whole episode. So obviously it was a good ugly. I loved the horses. The horse girl in me was just totally thrilled.
I knew the horses would come in, and they survived.
Even the one that Ken tried to free.
Yeah, they all survived.
Oh,
They
yeah.
did. Yes.
I have an equestrian question.
Okay, go for it. I don't know that I
I'm
can
not
answer
going to know
it.
the answer.
So, I'm no doubt that Diane can answer this because she does have a farrier come out and shoe her horses. So, why do we have to shoe horses? Because they were talking about how much time it spends to shoe the horses. Horses in the wild don't have shoes. So
Oh
why
my God,
do
you
we
are
shoe-
opening a gigantic can of worms. So my horses actually are not shod.
Oh, the farrier just comes to take care of their feet.
She just comes and trims their feet. My
Okay.
horses are barefoot. Now, maybe if I did harder riding or if I was having them haul stuff, I might consider shoeing them. But like the Icelandic horse, his hooves are so tough and so tight that I don't think he needs shoes. The other two I might consider shoeing if we were riding them harder. But there are people who are very, very anti-shoe in the horse community. Tom, you posted that thing to me that was the glue-on shoe, the horse croc.
No, I don't even
basically.
think it was glue on. I think it just kind of clipped on.
Well, there's one that's similar to it that's like a glue-on shoe that you change out every 6 months, every 6 weeks. So there are people who are experimenting with things like that to avoid traditional metal shoes that have to be nailed into the hoof. I mean,
that to me seems torture.
But they don't feel it.
Yeah, it's a clipping your nails.
I mean, really, honestly, if you have a good farrier,
on.
I did have one of my horses shod once because he was a little bit tender-footed and I was riding a little bit more at that point in time. That was before I got hurt. And if you have a good farrier or a good blacksmith, they're not going anywhere where there's a nerve supply. They're just going into that hard nail.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, there is a huge discussion in the horse community about to shoe or not to shoe. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they're still walking on paved roads, and like my dog's nails, when we go on walks a lot, I notice I don't have to trim their nails as often. So I was wondering if it was just because like the hooves wear down quicker, and that you should shoe a horse that you're taking on pavement a lot. So. I just thought that was interesting. They were talking about having to shoe all the horses in Hilltop.
And some of it, quite truthfully, may just be, and I'm totally imposing reality into our fantasy, but some of it may just be the tradition that blacksmith was trained in. I mean, that those horse people were trained in. They just may come from a school of riding where you shoe your horses. Because there's definitely that too. I mean, there are like schools of riding where people do not shoe their horses. It's all natural horsemanship, and they don't chew, and blah blah blah.
I don't chew mine.
Well, and shoeing can be problematic in a tight spot because you're galloping away from a horde or
and
something, or people, and you throw a shoe, and your horse is lame. Yep. I mean, it's as bad as getting a flat tire. So.
Oh, the horse can't walk without it?
They can. I mean, I think it probably throws their gait off to have 3 shoes and not 4.
It would be like I can run in high heels, but I can't run in one high heel.
Well, at that point, you just knock the horse over and let the horde eat the horse, and you run the other way.
Which I actually think that Ken should have done. So I totally get I love the horses, but I totally get. Like, we should have let the horde take the horse because it would have misdirected their attention away from us running from them. However, it also could have attracted more walkers, and they were trying to save that dang plow and
canoe. Oh,
don't even get me started on that dang canoe.
That didn't look like it would work to me, but
no, it looked like it had seen better days, didn't it?
Seriously, go to a Dick's Sporting Goods and get yourself a plastic kayak. You'll be fine. Ancient wooden canoe that seats 1. Whatever. They didn't even get paddles.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about my good, or my ugly.
Yeah.
So not just the horses, but just the scope of the whole first episode. Like, all of the different sets, taking over the Georgia Capitol building for a couple of days and using that as their museum setting. I thought the set where they hanged Gregory was just a massive set and really, really well done. I loved the visual scope and the storytelling scope of this episode.
Yeah.
It looked a lot like season 1 to me.
Mm-hmm. It did.
And they brought that
riding
up
the horses and
through the city streets. Yeah. I saw an article where Andy Lincoln was talking about the difference between him riding through the streets on horseback then.
I saw that one too, where, you know, 10 years ago or 9 years ago, people were like, meh, and now it's not quite the same meh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a much bigger deal now. Yeah. Yeah, I loved the all-encompassing episode also. There was just so much in this episode. And I loved all of everyone's deep conversations. And Thomas, you touched on it with Daryl. And, you know, Rick and Michonne had a moment. And just everyone had great interaction. And a lot of people got to some emotions after all-out war and having to rebuild.
Well, that was one other thing with this episode was everybody was together.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the past season or two, it was like you had an episode where there was Ezekiel and Carol, and then you'd have an episode with Negan and Father Gabriel. This episode had them all.
Everyone.
I mean, you didn't have Aaron and Tara much, but you had.
They were there. They were accounted for.
Yeah, Rosita didn't have a line or anything, but yeah, they were there. And even Jadis, like my other half, I was like, oh my God, that's Jadis. I didn't even recognize her. And now they're calling her Anne and not Jadis. So like, I didn't recognize, but she was there. Like, yeah, amazing.
Yeah, she was in that was one of the funny scenes that everyone died in the theater when Gabriel killed the walker.
Oh, right in front of the evolution.
Evolution of man.
I wrote that one down too. That one was awesome.
And then she was like, the de-evolution of man.
And how creepy does he look with that one eye?
Oh, thank you. That is totally creepy. I told Marnell it's like the old creepy guy from Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Oh,
the hat and the eye. Ugh.
And I also get this like Jedediah from Children of the Corn feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the hat. It's like he's Amish.
That
It
hat,
is.
especially with the one eye, cloudy eye, like it screams evil to me.
It's creepy as hell.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of creepy as hell, my ugly was the spiders. Okay.
I think that was Greg
spiders.
Nicotero's ugly too.
Yes. And if I mean, there was no possible way you could make zombies scarier. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of baby spiders and a mama spider crawl out of one, and we're gonna be trapped under a tarp while they. Oh. Okay. We have
Hold on a second. I'm about to pass out.
We have bears. We have moose. None of that scares me. Bugs creep me out. We don't have a lot of creepy crawlies up here, and the ones that we do are pretty innocuous. I can't do bugs. Oh, but it was awesome.
I'm with Nicotero. I went outside my front door the other day, and there was a spider that was like, I don't know, it must have been like 5 inches big, and the web was humongous. I ran right inside, got a can of spray, and I used the entire bottle of spray on that one spider and web.
Oh my god, that is hilarious.
It was a brand new full bottle, and the entire bottle was done. I do not like spiders.
And the spider is still alive, going, bring it.
Oh no! This guy drowned. He drowned in whatever it wasn't even spider spray. I don't even know what it was.
Now you have zombie spider.
Oh no! It drowned, and then I think I lit it on fire or something just to make sure that it was done. That
was that 5-alarm fire in Yonkers the other day.
I hope no one from. What's the animal, right? No one from PETA is listening to this.
But in your defense, not the first fire that would have been caused by someone killing a spider.
Oh.
I think there have been many a house fire before that have started in a very similar fashion. I read about them every once in a while.
Well, you can't take any chances that they survive.
Right?
You definitely can't take chances with spiders.
And for those of you who don't watch The Talking Dead, Nicotero is actually also terrified of spiders. And I loved the story of them doing the concept of what the spider would look like and all this kind of stuff. They actually had a trigger warning in the title of the email so that he wouldn't open them.
Well, I'm with him.
Yeah, me too. So the spiders were my ugly. Ugh.
Well, Tom, what was yours?
Well, mine was basically touched on already. I was going to say Xander Berkeley.
Yeah.
I mean, Xander Berkeley as Gregory, the whole last 10 minutes of the episode I thought was phenomenal. Him still calling her Margaret. And basically what Marnell said, he was the perfect villain that everyone loved to hate.
Yes.
Like, he was such a...
manipulative and duplicitous.
I was going to use an expletive, but he was such a horrible person. But every time he was on the screen, you could not take your eyes away because he was so good at what he did.
Yeah, and he's so not that way in real life.
No, he's an amazing guy. He was at that event that I went to
in Sonoy, right?
Sonoy and Memorial Day, and he was the nicest guy in the world. I had a drink with him, talked with him,
and that's just a testament to his acting.
And in Orlando, like, again, my friend Scott went. He's an artist and he's friends with Xander, and he went over to Xander's booth, and it wasn't that busy. Orlando wasn't super crowded. And Xander's like, sit there for a minute. So Scott sat there. Xander sketched Scott while he was just sitting at his booth. After about half an hour, he hands him an original sketch of him, like Xander sketched Scott. So it was an original, like, portrait of Scott that Xander did.
Wow. Oh, that's
just handed
cool.
it to him. And it was amazing. The guy did this in like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. But he's super, super friendly. So,
well, it looks like he is not going to suffer for work because he's coming up in a movie with Johnny Depp and Forrest Whitaker.
he just got signed on to a TV show. Oh,
Supergirl. Looks like he's got one episode in the can.
was that what it was? Supergirl?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was shooting in Canada because he moved. And here's the other thing: I knew he was dying. I didn't know what episode. I kind of overheard something. So, plus I knew he moved to Maine.
So he could be close to the set for the Canadian show.
No. He was planning on this move. He moved to Maine way back. I think right after Memorial Day.
Oh, okay.
And it was just a place where he wanted to go to work on art and relax. And he just recently, I think, got the Supergirl within like maybe the last month.
Yeah, it's episode 4.7, so I think it's the current season that we're just getting into. And he's only credited with one episode right now, but I don't know where that will go. Yeah, City of Lies is his upcoming movie with Johnny Depp and Forrest Whitaker. But he's also got something in post-production with Rosanna Arquette. So, like I said, he's not suffering for work.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah, and he's a great actor and great guy.
Gregory will be missed. I love to hate him.
And who knows? You never know. You may see him. You may see visions of him or flashbacks.
Maggie nightmares.
Yeah. He may just pop up in Maggie's bedroom every now and then.
Saying, Margaret.
Margaret. Yeah.
As long as he doesn't bring spiders, we're okay.
Right? Yeah. That's awesome.
So, yeah, that was my only. So, what was your bold prediction?
So my bold prediction is I think Rick is going to get a death at the hands of the Whisperers that was slated for another person in the comic books. And I don't want to spoil by saying who that person was.
Rosita or Ezekiel?
Ah! Well, I was thinking he was going to get Ezekiel's death.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of old. It's not really... Even I know that, and I don't even read the comics. But that was my original thought. I said way back when we found out Lauren and...
I think you did.
Lauren and Andy were leaving. I said, well, in the comics, Rick and... in the comics, what was it? Rosita and Ezekiel get it.
See, so maybe it wasn't even a
bold
prediction. I just stole it from you. I just thought it was a bold prediction.
Yeah, you just plagiarized me.
Well, I'm a scumbag like that.
I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Really? How do you think he's going to die?
My prediction. Well, first off, I know Maggie's not going to die. I think Maggie is going to get taken prisoner by someone.
And that's how they explain her absence until possibly she comes back in season 10.
Right.
And does that have anything to do with the Commonwealth?
I think that's who takes her prisoner.
Okay.
That's my guess. But Rick, I'm thinking that I think he's going to be he's going to be killed by a Whisperer, but I think that there's a horde that's going to be coming, and Rick's going to go in to try and like slow the horde down or kill whatever walkers are coming, not realizing that there's a Whisperer there because they've never seen them, and that's how you're going to be introduced to them. Mm-hmm. I think one of them is going to stab Rick, or I don't think they'd shoot him, but one of them's going to stab Rick, and then Rick's going to kind of turn around and stumble back to the group bleeding and just die like that.
You think?
I mean, it could be anything for all we know.
You think he's going to die, though? You don't think they're going to let him right off into the sunset?
No, I think, well, number one, there's no way he can ride off into the sunset because he'd be leaving Shane's baby at home and Michonne.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to just get up and leave Judith and Michonne.
No, I think you're right. I mean, there's part of me that hopes that they'll let him ride off into the sunset, but I think you're right.
Plus, if he did that, every time, like now you have people saying that Madison is still alive on Fear. If you let Rick ride off into the sunset, every other episode, people are going to be saying, let's get Rick back. Let's get Rick back. When's Rick going to come back? He's not coming back. He's done.
Rick is the new Heath.
Well, Heath is coming back this season.
We thought he was coming back last season.
No, because last season was the season they filmed while he was filming 24 or whatever.
Okay.
And 24 got canceled. I think someone announced that Heath was going to be back. I think Nicotero may have said it.
Really?
But from what I've heard, yeah, Heath will be coming back.
I mean, we've speculated off and on, but I didn't hear that confirmed by anybody.
Maybe Heath is with the Commonwealth.
Oh, okay.
And that's why there's that Prox card or whatever.
Or maybe Heath knows how to fly a helicopter. But yeah,
I'm also willing to hear that out. I don't think that's unreasonable.
I think Rick definitely dies.
So depressing.
Yeah, Rick definitely dies.
It's gotta be a fine, like something final for Rick.
I agree.
It can't be left up in the air. So I mean, the only way to do that is if he dies and Michonne or someone has to.
So I like Dai's prediction of how he's going to die, but when do you think he's going to die? Is it going to be our mid-season finale, or is it going to be our season finale?
I think they said 6 episodes.
It's either. I think it might be episode 5.
Isn't that close to our mid-season finale?
No,
that would be 8.
Okay.
I think it's going to be episode 5. That would be my guess. And then you might see a little bit of him in 6 or maybe the end of 5 is when, I mean, if it's my way, the end of 5 is when he gets stabbed.
So,
and then you have to wait till 6 to see what happens after.
Episode 5 is entitled What Comes After. And then episode 6 does not have a title yet.
And episode 6 title is Post Rick Grimes.
Or as Jeffrey Dean Morgan said, The Rickless World.
Yeah, what comes after is kind of I would think is kind of a hint. What comes after Rick is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I mean, I think it's going to be episode 5, and I think you'll see him in like either flashback form or something at some point later on. Plus, if he is back in Atlanta now, shadowing a director,
quote,
like
unquote.
they say he is, quote unquote, filming episodes, and they don't want you to know, then we would see him later because they're filming the latest or the later episodes now. But,
well, yeah. So,
Marnell, do you think he's going to die, or you think he's going to live?
Oh no, he's totally going to die, and he's going to die in some spectacular. Like, I don't have a bold prediction about how he's going to die, but I know it's going to be in some spectacular fashion. It's like ripped apart by the Horde, or like.
Are you gonna actually feel emotions?
No, not for Rick.
Are you kidding?
Nope.
I am going to totally feel emotions. I am going to be a sobbing wreck. It'll feel
be
all
like,
of the emotions for the two of us.
It'll just be finishing the chapter in the book.
See, Andrew, yeah, but is it a middle book or a beginning book or an end book? See, I was all set to feel the emotions in Atlanta in two weeks. I think I'm going, but Andy's not coming.
He's not.
They announced he's not coming to Atlanta this year. So
this
I think
is the first Atlanta he's missed in a long time, isn't it?
His con days are done. He's been to every Atlanta.
Wow.
I just think his con days are over. I think he gets emotional, and it's got to be rough for him to sit there for 3 or 4 hours meeting people and having all those people cry and him getting upset.
Oh.
Maybe he'll just take a break from the cons.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked to see him do one ever again.
Really? Wow.
I mean, until later on in his life when he needs money or
when
something.
he's doing the Captain Kirk circuit.
I was just thinking he'll be like Leonard Nimoy, where he wrote the book I Am Not Spock, and then years later he wrote the book I Am Spock. Yeah,
right. But it's like even when he's done them the last couple of years, like he's done every Atlanta one, but every time he goes, all the money goes to charity. He doesn't take a dime from it.
Wow, that's cool.
So it's not like he needed the money. So
he has nothing coming out, nothing in pre-production, nothing in post-production. So it looks like he's taking a break from acting.
I was going to say, I'm sure his wife is like, "You are coming home."
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything but staying in London.
Much deserved rest.
I mean, he gave 9 years of his life, 9 months of every year for 9 years. His kids, God, how old are his kids now?
They've kind of grown up without him.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the one thing I can't stand is when you see online people are bad-mouthing him. How could you do this? Or why won't you come to the convention? They badmouth. I'm like, the guy is leaving because he wants to be with his family.
I am not going to
badmouth. We need more men like that in the world.
I am not going to lie that my heart is breaking. Like, every time I see the final Rick Grimes episodes, I'm like, but I'm totally
sad.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, though. I mean, it's like, come on, this guy deserves a life.
Right, well, and he's doing what, I mean, if we had more men like that cared about their family that much, the world would be a lot better place.
Well, and could you imagine Andy Lincoln, 2010, he's done this, like, they shot 6 episodes or something, and they were like, let's see if this works out. He signed on, and he's probably like, this isn't going to last 3 seasons. And
5 years later, he's biting the throat out of someone.
Right? I mean, I don't think anyone had any idea what sort of commitment they were signing on for and what a juggernaut this is going to be for so long. I thought it was going to end in season 8. Like, at season 4 or 5, I was like, 8 seasons and it's done. And, we're going into the 9th season with a 10th on the way.
And they're talking about 10 years of property.
You'll have at least 2 years notice before it ends.
Yeah.
Because they'll have to write an ending, and AMC is going to want to promote it.
Yeah, it is still the number 1 show for AMC. So I mean, they're gonna milk this for everything.
It's going to be either season 11 or 12, I think, is when they'll end it.
Do you think?
Yeah.
And if they don't end it, what I think would happen is at that point, some of the Fear cast will go to Alexandria or whatever. And they'll merge.
We've been talking about that.
Yeah, on the Biters for Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh, were you? Because I've listened to maybe that's one place I've heard it.
See, now you're plagiarizing.
Maybe. I don't even know. Are you sure that episode was released yet?
It may not have been. There is still one episode of the Fear the Walking Dead Biters podcast to come out.
So that's what I think would eventually happen. I mean, it's a cool way to merge them. If you have like John, Dorian, June, and Morgan end up back in Walking Dead world.
So I just received a text from the living room, and it says, according to an interview with EW, comicbook.com, Rick's last episode is going to air November 4th. It will be the episode 5, called What Comes After. Greg Nicotero is directing the season 9 premiere and the season 9 episode 5.
I am just cracking up at the text from the living room.
Yeah. See, there's a reason you guys have me on. And you know if Nicotero's directing it,
it's big.
He's dying.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good point.
Nicotero's not gonna direct him riding off on a horse.
No.
I'm warning you both now. I'm just gonna be a weeping bag of slop when we podcast.
And actually, now that I think about it, No, it's definitely going to be a whisperer.
Has to be. That's what
No,
this season's
but
all about.
I can't say.
Insider knowledge.
Yeah, I can't say what, but I have some insider info, and I know that Greg directed episodes with whisperers.
Very good.
Awesome.
Well,
so in this episode, we got a little bit of a hint. I mean, we saw the Horde last season, but they made mention that 2 of the Hordes had converged, and that's what took out the bridge.
Right, and they also said that they couldn't go down one of the routes because the Horde is still there.
Yeah, so this is looming on the edges right now.
And from what I've heard, I don't know, well, from another podcast I listened to that saw the first 3 episodes of the season, they said this episode was good, but it's the worst of the first 3.
That's what I heard on the Walker Stalker podcast.
Yeah, I wasn't going to name it, but
that's
that's
okay.
the
You
one I
can
heard
name
it
it.
on.
You can totally
Yeah,
name it.
Yeah, I think Diane mentioned it
We're
earlier.
shameless. It's all good.
But
We'll
yeah,
plug anyone as long as we like you.
yeah. So I heard that last night, and that podcast is ending.
I know. I was actually
you gotta
really
get all those-
sad to hear that.
You got to get all those listeners to come over to Biters.
Well, so you
Yeah.
have to tell James when you talk to James in Atlanta that we're here.
Yeah,
Yep.
until I don't think James isn't as what should I say? He would be less likely to promote another podcast.
He's not as shameless as we are.
Right, basically.
So instead of having the host of Last Resort that I have given my title to Phil, we can be the podcast of Last Resort.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, you got to work on building that audience, and then get some interviews with some of the cast. You'll be set.
That would be freaking awesome. So
Yeah, I
the
would
only cast interview I've ever done is I had a chance to interview William B. Davis, the Smoky Man from X-Files, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever done.
That was
really fun.
on your This Conversation Rocks
You
podcast.
should
No, it was
You
on
should,
the X-Files podcast that I was briefly on.
Oh, okay.
when Fear comes back on, you should send a tweet or message to Jenna.
That would be
Just
so amazing.
Tell her you know me.
That would be so amazing.
Or impersonate him.
Or Sid,
Don't do
or
that.
Sid,
Don't
yeah, impersonate me. Or
So
Sydney. I know those 2 well.
I also have a bold prediction. Baby Rashone.
Oh,
No.
you think?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
No way. They're not going to do another baby thing.
They have spent way too much time showing those 2 getting it on.
No. They're not going to do another baby.
Speaking of which, are they going to kill Judith when they kill Rick?
No.
No, Judith will be at the house. He'll be
Yeah.
killed by a whisperer somewhere by a horde or something.
Yeah.
So they're still going to have baby Herschel and baby Judith.
And then the other baby
And
that
Gracie.
we haven't seen. Yeah.
Gracie, yeah, we haven't
So-
seen.
Okay, so we've talked about this, Di, where we joked, only half jokingly, that they've got 10 years worth of material, and who knows how many time jumps they could make. And so you could actually recast those characters with older cast in like 5, 6, 7 years and have them take over the series. And it's, Rick's offspring is, in the...
No,
the,
Shane's offspring.
Yeah, that's not Rick's.
I was being nice.
It's
That's the
gonna
real
be-
reason that
wait,
Shane's coming back.
But wouldn't
The
they would
man
have to
died.
cast? What was his IMDb? They'd have to cast a guy with a busted nose and
And big ears.
no, there was something John Bernthal had in his IMDb. Oh, I can't remember what it was. We laughed about it.
Now I'm going
It
to have
was
to go
like-
to his IMDb.
It was something we had never seen. It was like a quote about his style or something. And it's going to drive me crazy. But
Well,
they could do that. I don't think it'll last that long. People will have given up on the show at that point, I would think.
I don't know that they're going to have this show last that long, but it sounds like they're talking about, 10 more years of Walking Dead properties, whatever that means.
Right, but they're also talking about doing a movie about Negan.
That'd be cool.
I'm assuming it would be a backstory.
I'm entirely the opposite. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I've been binging The Good Wife, and he's on the last season, and he kind of plays a Negan type guy, and he kind of dresses that way, and I'm loving it. Like, I absolutely love Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but I don't know that I would be in for a Negan movie. Maybe a Negan made for TV movie?
Oh, I would be.
No, definitely not made for TV. I'd want the cursing.
I wouldn't want the feature length film, it would be too much.
They're going to do the Here's Negan comic book. They'll do that. So? Yeah. I do.
I think they'll have another spin-off though.
Well, and that's something we have talked about, and like I said, we're in the U.S. and they've gone south of the border. I think they're going to go cold next time. I think we're going to see what happens when zombies freeze.
I don't know if they would do that because when they freeze, they're not a threat.
Okay, so in the early winter, when they're not frozen, I could see walking through snow and like stumbling upon a zombie, coming out of a snowbank. And then in the summertime, in spring, do they thaw out and reanimate?
They would, because Greg actually wrote something like that. But I don't know if they would do a really cool. I would think they might go to another country or something. Well, no, because then you'd have a language problem.
Yeah, and Di said that. She said something about going to France, and I'm like, they'd probably go to England or something like that.
Yeah,
so they'd still speak English.
Well, then they could cast all the British people, and they can actually use their real language.
Then you'd have a bunch of American actors trying to do English accents terribly.
Probably not. They'll probably just cast everyone from Britain and Australia.
And New Zealand and wherever they get them all from.
Right.
But we'll see. But I think there's at least 3 more. So 9. They're filming 9 now. They're definitely going to have a 10. And they won't be able to end it. And so there's got to be at least 11 seasons of this.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, depending on how the rebirth of this season is, the rebirth of the series in this season is taken, they could potentially push it further and do well.
Yeah. So we have gone almost 2 hours.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Speaking of ending, we should end where we began, with the opening credits.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go to the politics talk where we began this phone call.
Before we do that, I promised someone who messaged us on our Biters page today that I would talk a little bit about her contributions. So before we wrap it up, I just want to say, hey, Victoria Morris from the UK. She says she never misses an episode of Biters, which just was thrilling to me. And she mentioned that she has to crank her TV way, way, way up to hear any of the dialogue. She said, I turned my TV up to 55 and it's still pretty sketchy. And
I get that too sometimes.
So I use a sound bar.
I was going to say the same thing.
I have to turn it down during the action scenes because it's too loud.
Right. I have the same thing. I have a sound bar. And
okay.
Some of the vocal is a little low, but there's a setting on the soundbar. I think it's loudness setting where it's pretty good. I don't have to adjust it too much.
The soundbar is kind of like a hearing aid for me. I mean, really, honestly, it does. I know I feel so old, but it does clarify some of the dialogue, so I'm able to hear the dialogue better when I use the soundbar.
Coming from the TVs nowadays have horrible sound, horrible speakers. You need a sound bar.
Yep. It's tragic. We have amazing TVs and horrible sound.
I don't know what sound bars are called in England, though.
It was so
She'll have
cute,
to
though.
look
She
that
said,
up.
I can barely deal with Alexa. I can't imagine any more bibbles and bobbles coming off of my television.
Any more what?
Bibbles and bobbles.
It wasn't quite that. I'm misquoting. I'm going to have to go to the message now because it was really funny.
Yeah, I don't really speak British.
Well, and that, to be honest, I was like, oh my God, she must totally not be American because that was really funny.
Yeah, I got that too because she said something about streaming.
I can barely
Over in
cope with
England.
Alexa twittering away to me over there without any extra bits and bobs on the TV unit.
Wow. See, now I wonder if she was watching live or did she watch BBC Doctor Who?
So she said she was watching it on Fox UK, but she didn't say if she had recorded it or if she was watching it live. I didn't ask.
Oh, well, she wouldn't be in the Nielsen's anyway, though.
Right, because she's
out
not.
of the country.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I was just so tickled to get the feedback and to hear that someone all the way across the pond is listening to Biters. That made me feel really good. And to have her say that she doesn't miss an episode of Biters, that made me feel really good too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We had a nice conversation about whether or not Rick is going to ride off into the sunset, and we both agreed that while that was what we really wanted, it's probably not what we're going to get.
But is it really what you want? I
want more bits and bobs.
Extra bits and bobs.
Now Thomas is being cheeky. Cheeky monkey.
Corny.
Right. Oh my God.
But Marnell, you were going to ask about the opening credits?
So they took a page out of Fear the Walking Dead, and they have a new opening credits scene, and it will change subtly for every episode.
And I loved it because it was really comic booky.
Yes.
You said you loved it?
Yeah, I did. I loved it. It was really comic booky. You didn't.
Honestly, my first impression was like, eh. And then my second impression was I didn't like it.
Really?
Like, I think it's well done. And for just what you said, I said it's very comic-y. But my thing is, it's not gritty. Like the photos was all gritty and everything. And
so
this show
is a new beginning.
Yeah, but the show has been going on for 9 years. Why change the opening sequence when you got 2 or 3 years left?
So we are back to my good in that we are in the post-apocalyptic world that we should have been in, and we are rebuilding society. So the old intro had all of the scenes of the fall of civilization, and at the end, the Walking Dead credit, it decayed over the seasons.
Well, that I liked. I liked when the Walking Dead appeared and there was like grass or something on it.
Yes, so at the end of it, it started to become overgrown with vines.
But I just the animation, it's just too.
It's too comic booky for your taste.
It's not even too comic booky.
You like the grittiness.
Yeah, it's too clean. Like it's smooth and it's clean and I just, when I think of The Walking Dead, I think of that opening sequence where there's grain on the film and you see the photos and the weird imagery and
graffiti and
and it's just very
walls.
very gritty. And this is just so clean, and then you get into the gritty show.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see.
Seem like it matches.
It'll be interesting to see how it changes, to see if it becomes grittier.
So with Fear the Walking Dead,
I love that open.
They have little hints about what's coming up in the episode. And so upon my second watch, I wrote down things that stood out to me that I think mean something either in the episode or for the future. So I'm just going to run down a list.
Well, you saw the noose.
Yes. So we started out on Tree with the window pane, the colorful window pane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Stained
and
glass,
all of the birds taking off from there, and of course Rick and Michonne and baby Judith watched the flock of birds. So that was from the episode, I think. Then we go to a skull with a pitchfork through its head through the skull. And I think that's kind of signifying that there may be a war over, the resources and everything, or there's going to be some infighting over the whole crops. And we saw a little bit of that that's going to come up in this season.
Well, I think before you go any, I think it's hard to say until you see the next week's credits.
Yes.
Like so some of this is going to be every episode.
Right. Absolutely. So, and that leads me to this. The skull with the pitchfork in it was laying next to a bow and arrow with a pack that had a brass knuckle knife in it, which signifies Daryl.
I was going to say that's Daryl's new knife.
Yeah,
oh, and no, I thought that was Carol's.
Oh, you're right. Actually, the brass knuckle knife is Carol's.
The brass knuckle is Carol's.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're absolutely right.
So we had the bow and arrow for Daryl, and then we had Carol's pack with her knife. And so who knows what that means, but it was next to a skull. So that's
I
that.
think those, I honestly, I think those are just representing the characters, and those are going to be in every week, and those have nothing to do with the actual show. I think like in Fear, you'll see the one little thing that, and like the in this one,
pretty much stays the same, and they add or take away something.
Right, like in this credits, I remember watching it the second time, and I saw the noose.
Right.
Now I think that was put in for this episode. You won't see that in next week's episode.
So
it's going to be like one or two things like that.
Yeah, one of the things. The next thing is Rick and Michonne on horseback, and so I think we'll probably see that for most of the episodes this season, if not all of them. We also see after that we see a broken wall where they pan back, and the broken wall is outside of Hilltop's gates. So I don't know if that's foreshadowing anything bad for Hilltop. We then go to Daryl's bike becoming overgrown with vines. So I think that's going to signify the whole no more cars, no more gas thing. His bike is just going to be put out to pasture.
No, he'll never lose that bike. He's going to be riding, because one thing they said on, I think it may have been Talking Dead.
They were kind of joking about him and Jeffrey riding motorcycles.
He won't get on a horse. He's afraid to get on a horse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Wasn't he on a horse?
I think Angela Kang said it.
Wasn't he on a horse in Chupacabra?
Yep.
Huh.
And he fell off that horse.
I mean, I don't remember if there was any close-ups. Maybe it was never him.
Yeah, maybe it was actually a stunt person.
Interesting. So,
but I think Angela said yes, because I think Chris Hardwick brought up the fact that Daryl's motorcycle still has gas. And Angela mentioned that Norman doesn't like horses.
So maybe that wasn't Daryl's bike. Maybe that was Dwight's bike, and we're going to see some Dwight stuff.
No, I think Dwight's gone.
No, Dwight will be back.
Do you think so?
When?
Well,
I think Dwight's going to find his wife and come back.
He really is a big part of the Whisperer's arc in the comic books, so
I think he'd be back, but I think he probably won't be back till the second half.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. We've got some stuff to deal with before Dwight. And so after the bike becoming overgrown, we see a barn being built and a hangman's noose. So I think that, of course, was the obvious for this episode. And then after that, we have a windmill with a walker, with a bug crawling from its eye, which also I think was in this episode. And it was in front of a giant herd of walkers heading towards the windmill. So, of course, that's foreboding.
That's Alexandria.
Yep. So,
which the windmill is beautiful.
Oh, have you seen it?
Oh yeah, it was up. It was up when we were there in Memorial Day.
Very cool.
The windmill's beautiful, and we saw the new. I actually have a picture of it somewhere. The new "Welcome to Alexandria" sign that was on the gate.
that's awesome.
But the windmill is beautiful. It's huge. You would think they'd make like a small one and just shoot it funny so you wouldn't know, but
Forced perspective.
yeah, it is really big, but it's gorgeous.
So that was the opening credits for the premiere episode. We'll see how they change. Like Fear the Walking Dead, I will try and keep track of the images that flash across the screen and keep you guys up to date. And if I miss one, let us know on our Facebook page or Twitter or email Southgate Media and let us know if we missed any of them.
I'm sure the open will grow on me. It's just not, I don't know.
What are you going to do
right now?
Where are you going to go?
I'm gonna have to talk to Greg about redoing the open.
Oh. Well, I think that's everything that I have.
Thomas, do you have anything else you want to say?
Fear the Walking Dead was amazing this season.
And you got some great shout outs from the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, Jenna was so amazingly awesome when I met her. And we still talk back and forth now, so she's actually looking for, I told her I have a photo op with her and Garrett in Atlanta, and I told her I have to top the photo op from Orlando. So I haven't told her what it is yet, but
she's probably eagerly anticipating.
Oh yeah, she already told me. She's like, I can't wait. I'm dying to know what this photo is going to be. So we'll see if it tops Orlando.
Hopefully she'll retweet that one too.
Oh, I bet she will.
I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
If it comes out as good as I hope it does, we'll see. But that's about it for me.
I'm not going to spoil it by commenting about some of the props that you have for your photo op. I'm looking forward to it because I've seen some of the props and they look pretty funny.
Yeah, I'll be sure to post it once it's done. It's in 2.5 weeks. We'll be in
Are you
Atlanta.
okay with your Twitter being public?
My Twitter?
Yeah, if the Spiders fans want to follow you, where can they find you?
Oh, at Celtic TSO. CELTIC TSO. It's the same on Instagram.
So go give him
you see a lot more.
Follow
you see a lot more cool stuff on Instagram than you will Twitter. I don't really tweet that much.
No. Instagram is funner than Twitter. Twitter's a little more dramatic.
Yeah, you get a lot more hate on Twitter.
Yeah,
into that, man.
Yeah,
but my Instagram is basically 99.9% Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead stuff.
And you get great photos and insiders with Cass and everything. You go to some amazing events. So go follow Celtic TSO on Twitter and Instagram for all the inside.
Yeah, that would be me.
You have more followers than biters.
Do I?
I'm sure you do.
I don't think we have an Instagram, and we're pretty lame tweeters. So
I think I only have about maybe 600 Twitter followers.
You have more followers than biters.
I'm sure Facebook friends. Every day I get like 10 requests for Facebook friends, and it's like I have no idea who any of these
accounts.
No, because
a
lot of them will say like 65 mutual friends or 100 mutual. Like I guess they're just Walking Dead people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how many friends I have on Facebook.
I started to get a lot of that on Instagram because of our Preacher podcast, liking all of the the actors from Preacher, and then following the pages on Instagram. I get a lot of people that like their profile picture is something about Preacher, so.
Right. Well, I also got a lot from when Jenna retweeted my picture.
Yes.
And then, that was the other thing too. Someone asked her, how on Instagram, the Insta stories, you could ask questions.
Nope.
She posted a question that said, someone asked her a question and said, "What's your favorite Walker Stalker memory?" And her response was meeting and befriending me.
Oh.
And my friend Robin and my friend Colleen, these artists that I know. And
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
I saw that and my heart totally sank. But that's why I get a lot of followers too, because she's shouted me out a bunch.
That's very cool.
So that's about it.
Yeah.
Well,
so do you
Thomas,
still do this?
I was going to say,
do this?
We do. We still try.
We attempt at it.
I just would like to say, will you join us again sometime?
Yes.
I will join you anytime you want.
Excellent.
We love having you on.
I have to get a soundboard. I can't top. Is it Phil that has the soundboard?
Phil, yep.
I have to get props. So,
and you have to get props that aren't visual props because, as we said, we suck at tweeting and we don't have an Instagram. So,
anytime you want. Maybe after Walker Stalker Atlanta.
Sure,
I have to save all my sight gags for when I'm on Phil's show, and it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube. Oh, it's one of those. Yeah.
So Capes and Lunatics, we did a movie club this weekend. We reviewed. God, it just left my head. Venom. Yes, we reviewed Venom. And I sort of have this ongoing sight gag where every time I do a movie club review with him, my wine glass gets bigger and bigger. And my wine glass this time was gigantic. I don't know how I'm going to top it next time, other than to say that it's just going to be me in a kiddie pool with a straw.
Yeah.
All right, I dare you.
Which will be really fitting because I think the next one's Aquaman.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you guys don't use video. I have a face for radio, so.
I'm right there with you. I am not into video. In fact, the last time I tried to do a Google Hangout with Phil, it failed miserably and we had to Skype, which was it didn't break my heart. So
I gotta up my game with lighting and my sound.
Gonna have to break down and get a good microphone.
Yeah. But until then.
Well, whenever you guys want me, just let me know.
Well, let's
Definitely.
kind of tentatively plan on after Walker Stalker.
After Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah.
When is that?
That's Halloween weekend. It's like the 26th through the 28th of October.
Oh, so November 4th.
I could be back on when Rick dies.
I was going to say we should have you back for episode 5.
Yeah. I'm game.
So let's
tentatively. I might have some inside info at that point.
Let's tentatively plan on episode 5.
All right.
Alrighty.
But until then, let's
here we go.
it.
Oh wait, we already started. Take it.
One
dead
day
at a time.
What's
You guys got to come up with something shorter.
It's a nod to Bri. It's the only piece of Brian we have left.
Yeah.
All right,
guys. Have a good night.
Have a great week. And
alrighty.
Thomas, enjoy Atlanta.
Oh, I'll try. It's rough, but I'll try.
Thanks for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.